Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast with two queer trans women, that's us, with the wifey types. We talk about media and stuff, what we've done in the week.
We do.
We're doing it a little later than usual today, because...
Later in the day?
Later in the day.
It's not going to affect them at all.
No, but it might affect the energy in the room. It's one of those, we've started later than normal.
Full of nice curry.
We are full of nice curry, but it's the routine's a little different, so the energy's not quite identical.
Yeah, it's more of a root young adult at this point.
I feel like I've missed a pun here.
It's later in the day, it's no longer a routine, it's now a rooted young adult.
I was like, there's a word in here you're making a pun around, and I've yet... I've said this to Jane many a time, but this is a good chance for this to be explained to the audience. Sometimes I will be able to tell Jane has made a pun, and I'll be confident it's a good pun. But the problem I have is I have ADHD, but even when I'm recording a podcast, I start saying words and I instantly delete all prior words in the sentence.
What would we even do with the old words?
I hear Jane say something like a root young adult, and I go... I could look... I need, a video game where I can scroll back in the last, 3 or 4 sentences and have a look at what I said.
Where's your log?
To find the pun. ADHD means that they didn't give me a log to check back on the recent dialogue.
Well, that's next week's sponsor, I guess.
What have you been playing recently?
I am still playing Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
You're right near the end.
I'm so close to the end. Literally, I have done... all of the ending stuff. I found the treasure, apart from, obviously, the important one.
You just gotta go to the pirate place and fight the last person.
True. But also, I have noticed that a mission I thought I needed to do the tail end of in one place, I actually need to do it somewhere else.
Oh, is this the one with the 90-minute
yes.
live action segment?
And I think part of the reason I haven't had much of a chance to play much of this recently is because really that is the only thing I have to do left, and I've been a bit worried about, do I have time to sit down and do a 60 to 90 minute live action interactive dating sim?
It is a great segment of the game, but it is probably the segment of the game that most requires you to have some time to sit down to do, other than obviously the ending, which much like the intro of a Yakuza game is going to be very cutscenes for a while.
Well... I will get to it. I'll get to it. I'll probably have some time tomorrow or something.
Well, now that you're sort of lingering near the end of it, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I had a fun time. I feel like it must have been one of the shorter Yakuzas because it felt like there were so many less bullshit mini-game stories. And maybe there's a whole story about shogi that I didn't get into. Because I've tried to play shogi in those Nintendo 51 all-time world games, and my brain just can't comprehend it. Maybe I need to sit down with someone who actually plays it and learn how to play with a physical board, but I have really struggled trying to learn it through most video games.
It's certainly not the shortest Yakuza game. You're looking at maybe, I would say 40, 50 hours for this.
That's about right.
Yakuza Kiwami, the remake of the first game, you could be playing in as little as 20 hours. Kiwami's a real short one. But in terms of modern Yakuza lengths, this is definitely one of the shorter ones. You've got your main series entries, and then you've got this and The Man Who Erased His Name as your sort of 20 to 40 hour, a little more, you just sort of get through it, Yakuzas. Not to say there isn't silly stuff to be doing, but there is less silly stuff to be doing along the way.
If nothing else, I've had a good time enjoying the story of blonde Majima with the cute heart-shaped earrings. Some slightly balloon pants and a leather jacket as he goes around on his Segway solving crimes.
Saving the day.
Collecting Dragon Balls. Oh, I only collected 3 of those. I guess there's 4 more somewhere.
They're a bit ridiculous to find.
Is it worth it?
I would, at the very least, look up where they are and go grab them. It's... The payoff is silly, but
excellent.
Fun.
Okay, I'll try. Well, I guess I got 2 things to do then. Yeah, but I did all of the quiz stuff, the not the citizenship tests that it was
Yeah.
in the previous one. Yeah, I had a good time with this. I'm glad I picked it up on sale. I have enjoyed sailing the seas on my bright pink ship
Yay!
with its paint splatter sails and sweets and candies and donuts arrayed along the side.
Mm-hmm.
With my collection of miscreants. And the figurehead is obviously the wand,
Yes.
obviously. And the woman who's in the leopard print top, who wanders around during on deck fights, holding a wand in each hand and just sort of gyrating her shoulders. I don't know what she does, but that, I guess, I think she's a healing class.
Yeah, she provides morale, I suspect.
Oh yes, sore shoulders. I can do something about that.
Ooh.
What about you? What have you been playing?
Well,
You've actually been playing stuff.
I've been playing some stuff. We did a bridge command mission together
We did.
last week on your birthday.
We went izzy wizzy and turned a military mission into a diplomacy. Member of the diplomatic corps.
It's not my fault that I got recruited to the diplomatic sub-team for a reason. And to be fair, it was still a military mission. We just diplomacied our way into a different military target, I think.
Yeah, and you said you'd already done this mission, and it didn't go the same way.
I've played this mission once before, and it went very differently. I'm going to talk about this in broad strokes, because obviously trying not to do spoilers. The vague idea of the mission was some medical supplies needed to be delivered somewhere, and pirates attacked along the way. Now, when I played this mission previously, I don't remember what role I was in. I remember I wasn't captain or comms. I wasn't in any kind of communicative role. The whole point of the mission was protect the medical supplies and the medical stuff from pirates.
Yes.
And that included, some people are evacuating a station, protect them while they run. Lots of different things of, protecting stuff. And it was always the pirates that were the threat. Whereas when we did this, and I was on comms, we talked the pirate threat down, and had a different threat to deal with, and as a result, didn't have to deal with... There was no point in our version of the mission where, we've got to protect the evacuee convoy or anything. We had some very different events happening.
We did.
As a result of diplomacying some pirates into being me just MSN messengering every pirate ship being who are you? What do you want?
What do you want? Maybe we can help.
Why are you shooting at us? Maybe we could make it so we don't shoot each other. In this military mission.
And eventually the DM was okay.
I very much appreciate the DM behind the scenes who found a way to go, I'm gonna give you something tangible for having done this, but keep it military for the people who came here to shoot something.
I think what I love most about that is we knew going in that whoever was going to be our flight controller for that mission, it was they were being trained on how to flight control. You really did just go, hey, your story? Let's do some flippy with that.
I fully expected that that I was going to spend that time messaging other ships and just being told to fuck off by pirates, and that would have been fine. I'd have either got no response or been we're pirates, fuck you.
They yes-anded.
Yeah.
They fucked you for a bit, and then they yes-anded.
Because, on a military mission, comms doesn't have that much to do, generally, outside of contact the ship we're heading to, occasionally get calls to be oh, we gotta change our objective. I can do, hacking of ships if we've got an engineer that's gonna be able to handle me pouring some extra heat into the system. But since getting recruited into the diplomatic corps, I like to, at the very least, try, 2 or 3 times to message enemy ships and be hey, what's your deal? Maybe we have a conversation rather than just shoot each other, The space could use a little more conversation and a little less shooty-shooty.
Right.
And most of the time I get nothing for it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally there's a mission like this one where I get to derail things in a fun way. And I was very happy with how that turned out.
Yeah.
What about you? You been playing anything else this week?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, we played some more of our legacy game that we've been working through.
We
played some more Clank Legacy 2 Acquisitions Incorporated darkest magic.
Yep. We played a couple of cooperative missions back to back.
Yes.
Flavor-wise, the second one we played this weekend, with the very specific enemy deck that we had. Mechanically and flavor-wise, that was a really cool gimmick.
Yeah.
It's one of those missions that Clank Legacy has had where I went, you've not mechanically changed that much, but this feels very different. This is going to be a very memorable mission.
And I think Clank Legacy has done or this one specifically has done a really good job of introducing this new idea of boss enemies and like the way that they are moving through the adventure row, which gives you a much higher turnover. Like already in a 4-player game, it's very unlikely that the good card you wanted is going to be there by the time you go. But there's always that risk. Like I think we had this in the last semi-co-op mission as opposed to fully co-op mission, where there were like 2 things on the end of the adventure row and nobody wanted them, and they sat there the entire fucking game.
Yes.
I think I ended up buying one of them because it had victory points on it literally on my last turn as I was leaving the mission. Just because it was like, it's not going to hurt me to have this, so I will just pop it in my deck, get the extra points, and leave.
I would be very up for playing regular competitive Clank or Clank Legacy with the enemy deck that's used in co-op present, just as a thing that goes, there is a consequence for ignoring this, but also it does keep some turnover going in the main row.
Yeah.
It's an interesting mechanic.
And this one specifically because it was either discarding things to like away, or it was putting -1 victory points on cards.
Yeah.
Especially in the battle deck, which doesn't usually have a lot of victory points on cards. And then on top of that, to go, but if you defeat it, you might get all of the cards that are underneath it.
Yes.
So even though there was like maybe less opportunity to play things in the most efficient way possible, you were still going, but I've put a lot of attack power into this deck. So regardless of anything else, I am assuming that this boss has eaten a couple of things. I am going to get some new cards into my deck as well as scoring victory points in the way of destroying the thing. Yeah, it's been real interesting playing through this stuff, and one thing it makes me like still very glad that much like the first one and Betrayal Legacy, when you finish the game, you have a complete and unique version of the game that is yours.
Yes.
That is still entirely playable.
Indeed.
Without all the legacy stuff involved.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting more of that kind of legacy content from board games, because as much as I love the Pandemic Legacy series, they are incredibly wasteful.
Yes. Other things I played this week. I played some of the Switch 2 port of Factorio.
Ooh.
And my thoughts on this as someone who's played a decent amount of Factorio before are as follows. It is a good port of Factorio in terms of it runs well, it performs well, it functionally holds up well to a lot of stuff going on and doesn't have a problem with that. I assumed that Factorio on Switch 2, I just assumed would support mouse mode. That you turn the Joy-Con on its side and use it like a mouse. It doesn't.
What? And this is specifically a Switch 2 edition.
This is a Switch 2 edition. It does not support the Joy-Con turned on its side as a mouse. You know what it does support? Plugging a keyboard and mouse into your Switch 2.
Amazing.
That is supported. If you're not doing that, you do have to do controller Factorio.
I was going to say,
which is not ideal.
I wouldn't imagine that controller Factorio is fun, but it is out on other consoles, right?
Yeah, so having never done controller Factorio before, you move around with the left stick, and the right stick sort of controls your focus of like, let's say there's a bunch of different things around you on the floor, like there's a conveyor belt to your right and a thing to pick up on your left. You're sort of aiming around yourself to be target which square you want to be targeting. The way that you would with like highlighting
like
your
a
mouse
radial
on things.
menu.
Kind of like a radial menu, but for the squares of ground immediately around you, kind of. The biggest thing that slows you down is you open a menu, and having to, with an analog stick or D-pad, move things all the way across the big menu with its your inventory menu with its many slots.
Oof.
You can't just press B to close out of a menu. You have to go all the way across your inventory
Oh,
up
God.
to the top right to where the X is and press that.
That feels extremely inefficient, especially if you're, like, being attacked.
Yeah, so there are things with a controller that just are slow and cumbersome in a way that kind of impedes the flow. If you've got a keyboard and mouse to plug in, it's a good running port of Factorio, but at that point, Factorio is not the most graphically intensive game in the world. Probably just play it on PC.
Assuming you've got a PC?
Yeah. If you don't have a PC, yeah, you can plug a keyboard and mouse into this. If you could just turn your Joy-Con on its side and be a mouse,
This
would
is
be
such a waste.
It would be a pretty damn good port, I think. So yeah, surprisingly disappointed with that.
Wow.
But other than that, I think the other thing we played is we did a D&D campaign.
We did. I ran a one-shot.
You ran a one-shot for me and a couple of our friends.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this campaign at all?
You tell me from your point of view, because I wrote it. So.
Okay, so we did a one-shot adventure about a little ragtag group of adventurers who
Needed the money.
Yeah, who needed the money, who meet a woman who's basically like, hey, my kid has gotten addicted to Sorcery the Conjuring?
Conjuring the Conclave.
Conjuring the Conclave. I was like, I'm trying to put the pun together in my head. Conjuring the Conclave. It's definitely not Magic the Gathering.
No, it's CNC.
You know, it's existed for a while, but about a week ago, everyone got very addicted.
The artwork got much better.
Imagine the artwork got much better.
And no longer does it have, like, credited artists.
Yeah.
Instead, it's the Shoreline Sorcerers.
Indeed. So we went on an adventure that started with, ooh, let's find out if these cards are, like, magically cursed and compelling people to play.
Oh no, all of the poor people have gone missing.
Yeah, all the poor people have gone missing.
And the cops.
The cards are not cursed, but the poor people have all gone missing. Fine, I guess we should investigate this. Because there was a point where it was almost like, well, the cards aren't cursed, maybe the game's just good. Okay.
Well, the game is just good.
Yeah, well, the poor people have gone missing. Okay, I guess this is actually a problem we should pay attention to. Maybe a series of events involving some surfers who invented some automation machines, some hippies who made some automation machines, and some corporations that took the automation machines and twisted them to evil ends, was doing some evil nonsense, so we had to defeat capitalism.
Yeah.
Does that feel like a fair summary
Look, it's
of our
a one-shot
adventure?
that I made, therefore it's almost entirely about defeat capitalism.
I mean, look, that's any time you play D&D with me, it's probably going to also be we defeat capitalism.
I was lying in bed one night and I had a thought about capitalism and I thought, well, that sucks. Let's make a D&D about it so I can feel like we're doing something.
And we did. We defeated capitalism. We punched capitalism in its smug face and
turned it into Conjuring the Conclave cards.
We turned
Rare one of ones.
We turned greedy capitalists into one-of-one rarity trading cards, and that feels like about the most fitting prison you could put a capitalist inside. So yeah, that was very fun. That was very enjoyable.
I'm glad you enjoyed.
So yeah, I think that's about it for things we've played and can talk about this week.
Only other thing I have played, I just remembered, is I had another stab at We Were Here.
Ooh, yeah.
Lauren wanted to play something that wasn't Deep Rock Galactic. Fool.
This is and
I tried to sucker them into playing We Were Here. This is a free-to-play co-op puzzle game where the people are split up. All you have is a walkie-talkie, and one person will have some answers, and another person will have some puzzle, and you gotta try and work out how to go and where to go.
Indeed, interesting idea. Made me too motion sick to play, unfortunately,
Yes.
which is why we stopped our playthrough pretty early.
Interestingly, this time I was playing the other side, so I was where you were when we played together.
Yeah.
Which meant I was doing most of the leading, and Lauren was doing most of the walking around. And I gotta say, you're absolutely right about that section where it's like, you now need to guide someone through a maze using this map that shows all of the mazy things. And if you take too long to do the thing, you have to go back up the stairs and pull a lever to make all of the lights on the map appear so you know where all the landmarks are.
Yes.
And I managed to guide through, but the only way I managed to do that was going to settings and turning ambient sounds down to almost zero.
Yeah.
Because there is this random clattering, chattering noise that is going on really loudly, only in that room, only under that map.
Right, you see how overwhelming that whole thing
Absolutely.
is.
And I just went into the settings and turned it all down. And it was made, I was like, I'll just turn it back up. And then I went to the next puzzle, which is guiding someone through, like, a chess game. With, you've got to get a film canister and take it up to an old, reel-to-reel projector. And then, turn the projector, get it spinning, and then, hit play on the thing. And then there'll be, a series of things. But the sound of that projector shutter is so loud, you can't even think, or even,
Right, not being able to hear and not being able to think because of the volume plus motion sickness was a devastating combo.
Yeah, so turned all of that down, and the game generally became much more bearable. The only problem was, the next puzzle we had to do so there's one kind of little puzzle where one person is clearly on some kind of grid and trying to navigate to the other end, and if they step on the wrong tile in this, basically an invisible maze, if they step on the wrong tile in this maze, they'll just get teleported back to the beginning. And then, straight after that, there is another quite interesting puzzle about you're trying to put certain scenes out onto a stage. The problem is, if you fuck up the stage puzzle by touching too many things that aren't the correct thing, you'll get eaten by this not mannequin. Marionette, that's the one. Thank you. I was doing the hand motions of puppeteering.
Sorry, yeah,
and you were like, I know what you mean. Thanks. Yes, marionette. The marionette will get you if the person pulling the levers pulls the wrong thing too often, or touches the wrong thing once too often. At least that's my understanding of what was happening there. And whereas every other puzzle we'd encountered up to that point had just been oh, okay, we'll just take you back to the start of that puzzle. It was taking us back to the start of the puzzle before, which meant we were having to do extra steps to get to this thing that we were getting a bit frustrated with, because we were both quite tired by that point anyway.
Yeah.
And we sort of worked out about the same time I was ready to go and ask chat for help. And I think we both eventually agreed, that game is not for us. So I took 2 cracks at that game.
Yeah.
It didn't work for you. It didn't work for Lauren. It was kind of annoying me towards the end. It is very difficult, especially when you have no visual imagination.
Yes.
To work through some of those puzzles. I'm sure other people can hold more of that game in their heads. But for me, it was no, thank you. Not that one. So yeah, that was We Were Here.
Yeah. Well, I think that's everything we played this week.
Well then!
Time for this.
Is your very existence political?
Yeah!
Why not sign up now and replace a career politician? You see, you're already inherently better qualified than any career politician. Because you're political. Your very existence.
Oh, yeah!
Non-white? Political. Get yourself a presidency. Queer? Political. Get yourself to be the Prime Minister. Disabled? Political. Why not run for Transport Secretary? Or higher, it's just the one I thought of that might be the most relevant to
I might be able to get a seat on the bus!
The wheels on the bus go round and round and stop appropriately and at a level that everyone can get on. And there's always a space.
And the pram users recognise that they're in the wheelchair space and nicely move out the way without having to have a fight over it.
Indeed.
All day long.
Hey, Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you ever long for a sort of Greek myth-style answer to all your problems?
I can't say I have, but maybe I need one. So what's up?
Did you put stuff off? You put stuff off?
Occasionally.
You've got a responsibility, but you've either put it off or just forgotten about it, because
Yeah, occasionally, yeah.
What if you could chain your problems to you without needing to get fresh tattoos?
Okay, something less permanent than a tattoo, but more permanent than I'll remember that.
And very distracting.
Okay, tell me more.
This week's sponsor is obligationchains.lol.net.
What is this miraculous invention?
If you've got tasks that you keep putting off, but seriously need to be doing, chain this incredibly heavy rock to your leg, labelled with the task.
Oh, I suppose it would be very inconvenient to keep living my life without doing the task at that point.
Yeah, but people forget that I have chronic pain, so I'm used to, just completely blocking out things that, might completely fuck up a lesser person.
And I mean, if I don't, if I'm not, moving around too much anyway, I might just kind of forget it's there.
Yeah, so what if there's sores developing around my ankles underneath the leg cuff?
It's gonna make going swimming once a week pretty tricky.
A little bit more perilous. But I assume if I put the rock in the middle of the pool, I can just swim around it.
Yeah. Perilous, but not impossible.
Yeah, I'll do a deep section and a high section.
I mean, I could just do the thing that I'm putting off, but,
What? Do the thing?
I hope the pool don't complain about the big rock.
That's obligationchains.lol.net. Enter the code Q&PS big heavy fucking rock, and you can get 15% off your first pair of rocks.
Oh, they're smart to know that I'm going to have more than one problem I'm putting off.
Absolutely. So, what have you put in your eyes and ears?
Oh, we put some good stuff in our eyes this week, at least.
Eyes!
Should we talk about 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple?
A good horror film.
A great horror film. A fantastic horror film, I would say.
Considerably better than the last one we watched.
Yeah. We both really enjoyed 28 Years Later when we saw that a few months back or whenever it was
3 months ago.
That film, a lot of our compliments were beautiful cinematography, some thoughtful writings, and some quite sweet dialogue.
Yeah.
The Bone Temple, very different film.
Yes.
Fantastic in very different ways.
Oh yes.
50% of that film is an exploration of unchecked male violence when you take one man and let them develop a god complex in a vacuum and have no one to tell them that the bullshit they are spouting is wrong.
Also undiagnosed psychosis of some sort, possibly brought on by childhood trauma of watching your parent, your dad turn into a zombie.
And the ways that, children in without guidance will glom onto anyone who seems like they know what they're talking about and can be led into bad directions that way. And, very much the horror, very much an examination of, the scariest thing in a zombie apocalypse might be the humans.
Always.
The other half is a beautiful, sweet love story
between a man and his heroin-addicted zombie.
His heroin-addicted 7-foot-tall naked zombie friend.
Yeah.
Who maybe is just hanging out with him for the heroin. Maybe there's a genuine connection here. It's like those videos of the person who's I adopted a full-grown gorilla in my one-bedroom apartment, and we're best friends.
Yeah.
And you kind of in the back of your head have the thought of
one day that man's going to lose both his arms.
Yeah, one day you're going to wake up to both your arms being ripped off. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that never happens, and you just have a genuine, beautiful relationship that transcends the barrier between animal and human. Maybe you're just a 7-foot-tall zombie addicted to heroin.
Maybe.
And that half of the film is beautiful and moving and fascinating.
Yeah.
I like that the two halves of this film are the dichotomy of maybe the worst thing or maybe the best thing about the world left in this zombie apocalypse is the people. the people might be the best or worst part about what's left.
And the other thing with the Jimmy story, Lord Sir Jimmy,
Yes, Lord Jimmy Christo.
and his acolytes, his claws. That whole story, obviously, you've got the kid from the first film,
Yes.
just trying to survive, and like being afraid to run away, and trying to do just enough to not get on Jimmy's bad side.
Young boy who is not prone to like testosterone, angry, violent lad culture tries to perform violent lad masculinity just enough to stay under the radar, to not be noticed, but to not be singled out as not participating in violent lad culture.
Yes.
Lest it turns on him.
Indeed.
I think having seen a whole film of him wrestling with trying to be a man without emulating the violent men in his life.
Yes.
And
to end up where he is.
Yeah, to end up where he is. That fascinating.
Yeah.
The explorations of what the rage virus in the 28 Things Later series is fascinating. And also one of the most, like, dryly funny horror films I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes, absolute comedy gold with his deadpan performances.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think Zennials have just discovered Iron Maiden.
Yeah. The thing that, like, I want to try and sell the tone of comedy that this horror has. And the example I go to is, Ralph Fiennes talking, he's talking to his zombie friend. He's like, yes, memento mori. It's only just starting to occur to me that you might not speak Latin. I'm like, it's superb. Very, very dryly funny. The Iron Maiden scene is superb.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very glad that someone realised it's time to let Ralph Fiennes off the leash and let him have a little fun.
Yeah.
Fucking fantastic film.
Amazing. One of my favourite things about that film is such a little thing, but from a cinematography point of view, it kind of just makes me just go, well done, everyone involved. Because you can tell it is shot in the UK. Because the number of times there is just this beautiful sunlit scene, and it's all looking quite vibrant, and especially considered like there's a lot of scenes in this film that are like under like cloud cover or under canopy of trees, and it gives it that sort of like washed out dark vibe. You can tell it's shot in the UK because occasionally there'll just be this beautiful like sunlit scene, and all of a sudden a cloud will just come over midway through the scene and change the entire quality of the light and everything, and you'll just go, well done for them not like massive, like the scene still looking great.
Yeah.
Because that must have been a pain in the arse for the cameras.
Yes. The other thing I love about how that film was put together is its explorations of the iconography of Christianity through the lens of someone a little too young to really know the text beyond the symbolism.
And having heard your father preaching in church every Sunday.
Yeah, there's that. There's the not accidental in you. It's very clear that the writer and director thought about it a lot, but the unintended to the characters parallels of certain aspects of Christianity through that story are deeply interesting.
Yeah, I for one am ready to watch 28 Years Later Part 3 3 days later.
There are entire parts of this I would happily take side spin-offs about. And we probably won't get that, but if you've seen the first one, 28 Years Later, one of the most interesting things that film did was the pregnant infected.
Oh, yes.
And, that was such an interesting thing that raised so many questions and so many, possibilities that just, nope, and we move on and we leave that as a place for you to wonder about something.
Mm-hmm.
The Bone Temple has arguably a much bigger one of those.
Oh, yes.
And I fully suspect that it, much like the pregnant infected, is just going to move on from it.
Yep.
And just leave that as a thing to theorize about. And I kind of like that they seem to be doing that.
Yeah. Considering I really didn't like 28 Days Later because I think fast zombies are fucking stupid. And I didn't like 28 Years Later.
Or 28 Weeks Later.
Weeks Later. I for whatever reason, I really, really disliked it at the time. I have loved both of these. These have been great.
Yeah, both of these have made me... even if I don't think I'm going to love them as much as these, they've made me curious to go revisit 28 Days and Weeks Later, just...
I'm going to try to make it. It might be an age thing. It might just be like, when I saw them, I wasn't ready to appreciate that sort of thing.
I wonder if just the investment in these two new ones will be enough for me to give these another chance through a different lens, maybe. But yeah, both the 28 Years Later films have been absolutely top-notch horror cinema.
And I think they absolutely encapsulate all the things I think are best about really good zombie movies. All of that stuff about humanity, a good post-apocalyptic setting, just the interactions of people. The zombies should be tangential to the entire thing.
Well, even I would argue, like in the Bone Temple, the zombies can't be tangential to the thing. They are really interestingly integral to it.
Oh yeah.
I love how much these are giving me to mull over in terms of like, philosophically, but also like just textually. I saw a TikTok that got me thinking about the parallels to the Garden of Eden that go on during a portion of this, with a certain character putting some clothes on, eating some fruit.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that, didn't I, at the time?
Yeah, there's more to it than I'd realised, but there's a lot of Garden of Eden stuff that goes on.
We'll have to talk about that later.
Yeah, like the more I think about this film, the more I'm like, oh yeah, there is a lot to dig into.
I mean, I've only read the Old Testament once, so yeah, you'll have to bear with me while I don't remember most of what happened in the Garden of Eden.
That's okay. But yeah, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, top notch. Go see these two 28 Years Later films if you like a good, thoughtful horror, and you're okay with a little bit of degloving.
And a good amount of just dangling penis.
I mean, it's a very welcome to be there, dangling penis.
Welcome along, penis.
No one is shooing that penis out of the scene.
It's not threatening.
Yeah,
it's an entirely non-threatening penis.
It is the most non-sexual a penis could have been.
Oh yeah, it's like hanging out with a naked friend. But if that is the sort of thing that bothers you,
yeah,
grow up. No, I get it, but yes. And it has been funny hearing the actors talk about that. Mm-hmm. Samson's actor going, "Oh yeah, I took the penis, absolutely."
But yeah, what else have we been watching?
We watched the first 2 episodes of Starfleet Academy, the new Star Trek series.
Yes,
you know how Star Trek is dead, and this has killed it. And
I don't know what show they're watching. I'm having a great time with this one.
I don't know. They're just being loud and wrong.
So this is a Star Trek series set in the distant future as, Discovery, etc. era.
Yes, what was it, season 3, I think, of Disco? We get to the far-flung future, and we learn about the burn that happens. And we barely touch on the subject of the burn, which I think is mainly the only way that this series would be not necessarily great for people who don't already watch Star Trek.
Yeah.
It kind of talks about it, but doesn't actually explain what happened or why.
Yeah, if you wanted to jump in here, the background you would need to know is basically the fuel that allows spaceships in this setting to go at super fast speeds across space. Something went wrong, and all of that fuel started spontaneously exploding. And that caused death and devastation, but also this galactic community that, like, all these planets and cultures had come together suddenly couldn't travel the distances needed to get to each other. And it was
some of them got quite isolationist about it.
Yep. Isolationism, our lack of resources, and the paranoia that comes out of everything we held dear spontaneously exploded on us.
Piracy, paranoia, a bit of Wow, what they would have called in the 21st century. Just the tight fists of
Yes.
of government.
The kind of right-wing ideals that come in when a
A poor person stole some food. We're going to send you to prison and separate you from your child.
The things that go, our leaders are so paranoid about what little we have that they are putting down the iron fist. And this is, like, important culture because Starfleet Academy is basically, it is let's follow the journeys of a bunch of young adults learning to become the next generation of, like, ship captains and whatnot, but it's on the backdrop of let's explore the political ramifications of trying to reconstruct the Federation after the burn.
And it's for a slightly... you could argue that Prodigy tried to do some of that, but this is certainly for a more adult audience. Not that Prodigy isn't perfectly fine for adults to watch.
Yeah, but it's definitely less children's TV in its approach to some of these same themes.
100%.
Yeah, in the way that, like, Prodigy is an enjoyable show, but it feels like we took a bunch of 13-year-olds and we were taking them on work experience to learn about being Starfleet captains. This is, like, 19 to 21-year-olds who
are going to be the next crews of the next big ship.
They maybe still have a little teenage naivety and not regulated emotions in them.
Yes.
But they are on the verge of you need to get your shit together if you are going to be like a person in the space military.
Yes.
And yeah, I've so far been very interested in the things they've been doing to take advantage of where they are in the distant future, to take some old Star Trek aliens and concepts and go, it's been a while since we've seen them, they've changed and developed in some interesting ways. I absolutely bloody love Paul Giamatti, who seems like he's going to be our series' long-running villain.
Nom tasty scenery.
Oh, he's just allowed to run rampant with the scenery, chewing it as he will, and he's having such fun with it.
Yeah.
The core cast of new characters of, like, the young recruits have all been very sweet and very interesting in their own ways.
Yes.
I enjoy autistic hologram girl.
She's amazing.
Slightly more mild-mannered Klingon.
Yes, Klingon for healing.
Klingon for healing, but not for war. Yeah, a lot of these new character types have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it.
We've got Genesis with the sparkly eyebrows.
We've
got Tearaway Child who can hack anything. What if Wesley Crushes had been even more traumatized by the death of his father and had got off the rails?
Yeah. I love our new captain of, like, the head of the Starfleet Academy, who is many hundreds of years old and refuses to sit in a chair, even vaguely like a chair.
Sits extremely bisexually.
Yes, she dials the Riker maneuver up quite impressively.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, as I heard somebody say the other day, like, she's lived hundreds of years. She can say however the fuck she wants.
Yep.
Why would you confine yourself to sitting comfortably? Maybe she doesn't have a human spine and she doesn't have to worry about all the problems that sitting like that. I mean, once you've got to several hundred years old, I feel like if spine injury hasn't happened by now, it's probably not going to happen for your species.
And clearly Starfleet Academy is like, I want to make this comparison but give it caveats. It's definitely not trying to be, like, pacing-wise or adult comedy focus-wise. It's not trying to be Lower Decks.
No.
But it, in some ways, kind of reminds me of Lower Decks in terms of that focusing on the young crew much more than it is the established crew. Like,
yeah, I think Lower Decks did a lot of laying groundwork that made this show happen.
Yeah, like, I couldn't really tell you anything about anyone on the bridge of the big ship other than our, like, lead captain. But I can tell you a lot about lots of the people who are still finding their footing, and I'm like...
Yeah, because this film, this series of all of them is not about the bridge crew.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to give the wrong impression when I compare it to Lower Decks, But I think that Lower Decks set a lot of groundwork that something like this is following in the footsteps of.
Absolutely, and I think if it wasn't for... this reminds me of all the best bits of late seasons of Lower Decks. Like, when it got to telling some tough stories, when it got to being about, like, personal growth and stuff, and not just, what if early, like, season 1 Family Guy in space. Maybe I should watch season 1 again, but I remember really not liking season 1 of Lower Decks.
I liked it more than you did.
But it got way better.
I had problems with its pacing, but yeah, I'd be interested to revisit that first season in retrospect. But yeah.
Also very much enjoying Gina Yahere, I think it is, who plays the half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon first officer.
Yes.
She is incredible in that role, and I have very much enjoyed her, like side-eye to other senior officers, but also, like, being a total, hard-ass to the younger cadets.
It's the way that she can 0 to 100 the authority switch.
Yes. I think she gets a lot of that from years of telling jokes about her mum.
But yeah, I'm really digging it so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been a really good show. What else have you been consuming?
Not a lot. I've been listening to the My Chemical Romance album Danger Days on loop, just because I've been working on the script for a very lengthy video about that album. Ooh. I went on a bit of a tangent while listening to that album, which involved reading some of the Fabulous Killjoys comic series.
Ooh. Because
I was like, I'm certain that I've heard this somewhere and I need to double check it. The song Destroyer that comes up on that album, in the comics, Destroyer is a canonical thing. It is a giant city-sized mech. And it is interesting listening to that album as a concept album with the understanding of, okay, so when we get to Destroyer, it's, you tried to nuke the Rebellion? Well, fuck it, the Rebellion's gonna try and steal your mech. Which was interesting to refresh myself on. What about you? You put anything else in your eyes or ears?
I am having a little bit of a catch-up on Welcome to Night Vale at the moment.
Ooh.
And was particularly enjoying the episode, the weather from the episode I was listening to this afternoon. And I was like, this is really good weather. I'm going to have to check who this was. Oh, it's Dessa. Of course it's really good.
Yes, the person who makes good music.
Dessa has done a bunch of good weather now, because I think this is maybe their third or fourth?
Yeah, it's definitely third or fourth time they've had a weather on Night Vale, and they got good tunes.
Oh yeah, I will quote a couple of lines I quite enjoyed. That technocrat has a funny salute, might not meet the burden of proof, but too rich to refuse. So cue Fahrenheit 452. It's all health and wellness for the just for the self and the little selflets. Get a moral mandate to try to get rich. To stack the pancakes, so back up your plate. From me and my kids, us, all fools, in the fools for the pyre. It's very good.
Very good. You got me thinking about some of my favourite Dessa lyrics now. The one I always jump to is one of her songs, Fire Drills. Let me find a good little bit here.
But wasn't that also news?
That might also have been a weather on Night Vale at some point. Cut my hair, take my tits down. A woman on her own must be from out of town. Funny, you don't know the concessions that you're making until you catalogue them. And then by then they're many and you're battle-hardened. Heatmate's liquid of the asphalt. Keepsakes and parking tickets on the dashboard. I'm here to file my report as a vixen of the wolf pack. Tell patient Zero he can have his rib back. She got away with words. She got a good damn way with words. So yeah, you put anything else in your eyes or ears?
Well, that's pretty much it for me.
Well then, time for this.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi.
Hi.
So, I've been thinking about more ways we can pay fewer people to do work.
I love the sound of this.
Right? I don't like having to pay people. That's money that could be ours.
No, I like shouting at people, exploiting people, and making money.
Yeah, and like we could shout at the interns. They exist to be shouted at.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't want to have the ones that we have to pay. So,
Right.
You love AI as much as I do,
I
right?
love AI. I am literally thinking about marrying several of mine.
Exactly. But sometimes it's got a bit of a problem of just, like, throwing out nonsense when we ask it to, like, do the jobs of designers and writers and whatever.
Well, yeah. But if I ask it to recreate a particular book that I can't be asked to pay for, I can get it to repeat that with, like, 94% accuracy.
I know, right? But here's what I'm thinking. The problem is, like, the lack of human input to make the AI do good. And we're not going to pay for that human input.
Right,
But
yeah,
I
prompt
thought-
generation, right?
Yeah, so I'm like, what if we go to, an online message board, the orange one with the little robot icon, and we go find the...
Pornhub?
No, the other one. The one where everyone, like, talks about what they want to see from our game series. Like,
Right, yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
And we just, like, download all the text logs from there
Right.
of, like, every fan who has an opinion on what our series should be.
Right.
And we plug it in the AI.
Right.
And we say, what should we make the game be that would make all of them be happy?
Right, yeah, that sounds perfect, yeah.
So,
What have we got so far?
well, here's what it's spitting out so far.
Yeah.
The game should have a massively increased focus on single player,
Right.
but also should completely get rid of the single player because that's money that could be spent on the multiplayer instead.
Perfect.
It should have more tanks, and
Oh, yeah.
also should have fewer tanks because they distract from the core gun gameplay.
Of course.
There should be infinitely more futuristic setting levels.
Oh, of course.
And
Yeah.
also,
Bang, bang.
completely move away from the futuristic setting because the older war setting was better.
Right, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it should do all of this while costing less,
Oh, I don't like
and
that.
being better.
Oh, I don't like that.
Oh.
Up until that last bit, it sounded exactly like a memo I sent last week.
Right, we get rid of the last bullet points. We'll just make it both more and less of the things that they want it to be more and less of at the same time. That'll be popular, right?
This machine is a fucking genius.
I know.
Terrible, this state of the economy, don't you think?
Oh, yes.
Terrible.
Economy.
We're, of course, making lots of money.
Well, I mean, for me, it's a wonderful economy.
Well,
I'm
yes.
making money right now,
I'm
yes.
making loads of money, bought another few houses off of some people who had to sell up. Quite the portfolio I've got now.
Oh, yes, just a few more, and I'll be able to fill up like a binder, like one of those sort of sticker annuals with how many homes I have.
Yes, we could get them laminated.
Right, wouldn't that be wonderful?
What's the PSA on the number 63 there?
I mean, look, it's PSA 9, but in this market where you're going to find a PSA 10.
Oh, indeed. And it's funny, I have to say. I've watched young people standing in the street just shouting sick burns at local housing.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, apparently it's the only way they're going to own housing. That's just what they assume
owning
owning housing means these days. They don't understand. They don't understand anymore. They're too young to
Oh,
ever
they don't
understand
understand that they're supposed to purchase one.
owning property. They're owning property. Down with the kids.
Foolish.
Well, I mean, they've grown up in the world we created for them. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors?
Yeah. Alright, Larry.
Right, Barry, how you doing?
Oh, not bad, mate, not bad. Been enjoying that new Star Trek series.
Oh, I've been having a great time with that.
Yeah.
It's been nice seeing a variety of character types that haven't been seen in Star Trek for a while.
Well, indeed, it's been a veritable who's who of different species from across all of Trek history.
Bit of variety, and that is the spice of Star Trek, is it not?
Well, absolutely. We've got some queer characters I very much like. We've got different species, different races, all sorts.
I've seen a few disabled characters. Which has been nice.
Yeah. We're still using sign language. We're still using wheelchairs. We're still using glasses.
I saw someone
We're not, completely eugenicsing out any kind of disability in the far off distant future, and also not just in a blink and you'll miss it kind of way either. Those are characters you will spot.
I saw someone very excited to have spotted two different hijab-wearing characters in the first episode. I was like, oh, yeah,
more on that.
Right.
Of course, not everyone is enjoying it, and despite the fact that most of the people I know very much enjoying it and talking about how much they're enjoying it, and seeing the actors reacting to being in it and how much fun they've had, there is a very vocal minority who are once again, much like with Discovery and Picard and Strange New Worlds, and the Chris Pine, the J.J. Abrams Star Treks. They're saying that this is the death. This one is the death of Star Trek.
How dare you make Star Trek be anything other than exactly the version of it that I enjoyed when I was 17 to 22.
Why is it not exactly what it was when I was 17 to 22?
Why is it not exactly the version that I preferred? Probably because it's the first one I watched start to finish. Why is it not exactly the one I first watched start to finish?
When I had no responsibilities and lived with my parents and, didn't have to worry about all the realities of life.
But I also had no preconceptions, and this was the one that sort of cemented itself in my head as like, oh, I like Star Trek because this Star Trek.
And also because I was perhaps too young to, understand some of the wider messaging available in the show, and therefore I'm now convinced that any other Star Trek that I see now is must be woke by
any Star Trek that I see today is woke. The Star Trek I started on with, whether it be the first interracial kisses on TV or, whatever list of things I could come up with, that one was not woke.
No.
No, I watched Star Trek at the one peak time that it wasn't woke.
Never been woke.
The
most Berman an episode could be.
God, people are so pathetic about, oh, woe is me, this thing is not created precisely 100% exactly for me as an individual.
Therefore, I'm being erased. It's erasure if a piece of representation does not perfectly replicate me. It's like describing it as we have just there kind of reminds me about that statistic about how men always assume that there are more women in a room than there are. If it's a 50-50, they're convinced there are only about 10% of the population there.
Yeah.
And, if a woman speaks for more than a couple of minutes, they assume they've been droning on for hours, and that sort of lad culture that they're absolutely convinced that if they're not the majority and they're not doing almost all of the talking, that they're being talked over and henpecked and whatever else and all that other bullshit.
We've seen some of this recently with the autistic Barbie thing. Some of the people who have been very focused on this version of this autistic Barbie doesn't look like my version of autism and therefore it's terrible, as opposed to stopping for a second and going, are there people that it does represent?
A spectrum, you say?
Yeah, are there people it does represent who might be happy to have representation? Maybe representation for someone other than you could still be a good thing,
Meanwhile, from what I can tell, like a lot of the people who have very loud opinions about this are very angry, and then the people who collect Barbies are very happy that this exists and are big fans and are fully embracing it.
Exactly.
People who actually care about Barbie.
Indeed.
As opposed to people who are convinced that their autism is the only kind of autism that there is or should be.
Well, the one I keep thinking about is the video I stumbled upon of autistic man who is not an AAC user and was going on about
calculator.
It's such a stereotype that they gave her a calculator because they assume we're all maths geniuses. Well, first of all, that doesn't even make sense. If you were a maths genius, you wouldn't need the calculator.
Yeah.
But it's like, A,
you don't recognise what an AAC is, you probably shouldn't be in this conversation. But also, B, I'm willing to bet from your demeanour you are not the kind of person who personally has an interest in Barbies. I know I'm making a bit of assumptions here. I get the feeling that you are not in the market to buy a Barbie, let alone, know what an AAC is. Maybe recognise this is not your conversation to have. Sometimes things are for other people.
What?
I know, right?
Media for other people?
How
That
dare.
isn't specifically catered to
How
me.
dare.
Oh, I know, mate. You know what might be catered? Fancy young mate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good hug, mate. Good
Yeah,
hug.
okay.
Right, I think I'll go and have a little lie down.
Sounds lovely.
Nice. So, Laura,
Yes?
where are all them things on the internet what you do?
Where them that stuff on internet?
Yeah, where that?
You can find them that their stuff on internet at Laura K Buzz pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
You can find me Laura K Buzz on Patreon. That's the one that pays the bills. TikTok, YouTube. You can find me on YouTube posting. What have I put up recently? There's an accessibility episode that'll be probably up by the time you hear this about 2026, the year ahead in video game accessibility. There might be a new series starting sometime in February on that channel where I talk with Jeffrey Bunting about random episodes of Star Trek. That's a thing that we're working on to maybe start, just to have an excuse to talk about Star Trek on a regular basis.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's about it from me. What about you?
Patreon.com/StonedMonkeyRadio. As little as $1 a month helps me keep doing the things that I do. Also, you can find me on Human Tolerant News, a podcast for me's and for you's. We chat about burrs and other important news, but it seems like mostly burrs of late. What have the burrs been up to? I'll never tell. Well, I will, but you'll have to tune in and find out.
I'll tell you over there.
Yeah, and that's available wherever you find good podcasts. And bad ones, probably. That's the nature of an RSS feed. It goes fucking everywhere, whether you like it or not. So, Laura,
Yes?
will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.
Hey, Laura,
Yes?
I've got the wrong skit. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
I've got the wrong skit again. Fuck me.
Third time's the charm.
Inside the boardroom.